Hello, everyone. Welcome to uh, the regular community meeting for AI Conformance Working Group. Today is October 23rd, 2024. Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, do we have any volunteers for note taker? Okay. If not, then it's gonna be a collective effort. Please add your name to the attendees list if you feel comfortable doing so, and your company name. Yeah. Okay, next I'll go through some updates. So not an updates, but maybe like a reminder that the self-certification questionnaire is available for 134 and 133. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I just wanted to ask briefly as we talk about this question for 133 and 134, and then there's the some people have already self-submitted. I believe we said we had to have self-submissions in by the end of this month, and going every other week, that means this is the last meeting before those need to be in. And so I was just wondering what is going to be the review process on those pull requests to get them merged?
I'll leave that to Jeffrey.
I um I am holding off reviewing them until the governing board vote passes, so I don't get yelled at by some governing board representatives because I don't want to jump the process. Once the governing board vote happens, I will be the one reviewing them all.
Okay. Do you know what the timetable looks like for that? And I ask because, and I don't remember if you were in the meetings at the time, we had talked about needing things submitted by the end of the month.
Yes.
So that way the names were in order to prepare the presentation that will happen at KubeCon. But if their governing board vote isn't going to happen until much later, I'm wondering if that presents any issues.
So let me put it this way. If your intent is to submit, okay. The reason we set that arbitrary date was to give both our marketing and PR and then companies' other marketing and PR, right? Like give them time. If you know you are going to submit, like let me know, because me merging those PRs does not necessarily directly impact PR and marketing working together. So like if you tell me, hey, I'm not going to submit until like November 5th, but we're going to submit, my response to that is going to be cool. Let's, connect our PR and marketing with yours. Yay. And then, hey, like I'm not going to merge these PRs until governing board vote happens, which by the way is currently an email vote and we're just waiting for people to trickle in email votes. So, it's already started.
Good luck with that. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for clarifying, Jeffrey. If you haven't done so, please take a look at the templates for questionnaire and the instructions in this folder, this Markdown file. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the Slack channel. And we did have a number of submissions so far. If you don't know where to start, this can be good, potentially good references. I mean, every vendor does things slightly differently, but should be good data points. Anything I missed on this? Okay, next, let's dive into the open topic. Rita, you have a PR that you want to talk about?
Sure, if you can click on it. This is sort of just call for awareness, and if you'll have time, please take a look at this PR, which basically talks about the proposed requirement template and process for how to create a new requirement for Kubernetes AI Conformance Program, and the various stages that a requirement will go through in order to be part of a Kubernetes release. I don't want to spend too much time on this PR, so this is more just call to action. If you have time, take a look. We'll try to get this merged in soonish. And again, this is not too new. We talked a little bit about this last community call. This is following the CAP process, trying to not reinvent the wheel. Anything else anyone else wants to add or concerns about this before we move to the next topic?
I would recommend like taking this as a topic to a cigar call just to make sure we get there.
Sure.
Is there anything, I saw a lot of comments, and is there anything particular we want to discuss here? Like anything left open and not addressed yet?
I think it was one comment regarding to API outside of Kubernetes core. Wondering if we can just add this as a recommendation instead of having this as a must. Just with the context, like this is the requirement to put a feature to the must from should, and one of the requirements to make sure that the API should be GA. But because like we also can cover non-Kubernetes core API, we might need to kind of suggest or recommend that other APIs also should be GA. And I understand like some of the projects might not follow the Kubernetes best practices of how they maintain APIs, but I think it's good for us to encourage those communities to follow the same process.
Yeah, I really like the intent. I think the hard part is, as I mentioned in the comments, it's like requiring it, right? So I think adding a note for recommendation, but not a requirement is good. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I think recommendation should be
Okay,
fine. I think as Maria also mentioned in the comment.
okay.
Okay,
So there
any
is also, yeah.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I think there is also another open question, I think, from Jeanette. I don't know if she's on the call right now. No, I don't see. I see Jeanette actually. Wondering if we can talk about this open
Okay.
points.
Any objections to this?
You're asking for my feedback for the V1 the GA API requirement for non-core, right?
No, I think I'm asking more about like other points we discussed there. But here, I mean, if you don't have any objections, just let us know as well. But I'm more
Yeah,
asking, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think it's fun because it's a recommendation, not a requirement.
Yeah, recommendation is
Hopefully
fine.
Hopefully that will get people to move APIs to GA or follow the same standard. Any other comments folks want to raise? Janet, I know you had a few comments, but I don't know if it's you want to bring up here or continue just as comments.
Yeah, those comments are just minor details of how we want to track the progress. But the overall process, I think it looks good.
Okay. Yuan, if you don't mind scrolling down, just as a quick recap for everybody else on the call, if you can scroll down. Down.
To where?
Here. So basically, yeah, this is good. So basically, like if you're familiar with the CAT process, status and stage are probably not new to you. So basically we're leveraging that same process to ensure we identify the status of each requirement throughout its life cycle, right? So as you can see, there's implementable, implemented, and could be deferred or rejected or replaced, right? And for stage, really should just be either should or must. And every time we change stage from should to must, it needs to be aligned to a milestone. as you see there. And so this will help us track the progress of each requirement and when do we expect or when do we propose a requirement will become a must in the future. Again, this is very similar to CAP. Any questions, concerns?
I think it should be good.
All right.
I think I had just, before we go to another topic, just a small kind of question regarding another discussion on the drawbacks. I know you removed this from the proposal. I'm wondering whether it makes sense to have a section around overlaps. I think we discussed it on the last call. Not sure if we want to explicitly add it to the template. To tell like if any other if any requirement that we want to propose kind of overlap with the existing one.
Are you thinking of like, say if there's an additional requirement on top of a requirement that already went to implemented?
Yeah. Like it's part of, for example, like in CAP, yes, we have this section called alternatives and risk and mitigations. We don't really need this, but the section which tells like if the new requirement overlap with the existing one or superset them, probably like it should be explained somewhere. I don't know. Or we can, if you're thinking it's not necessary, we can do it later. Yeah, go Janet.
So I think in that case, maybe those requirements should be merged into one if they are overlapping.
Yeah, I think this is a possibility as well, right? So maybe we can use this card template to kind of propose merging some of those requirements together, right?
Yeah, Janet, if you recall in the PR, it talks about once a requirement has graduated to must, if we don't think there's going to be a lot of changes, we basically mark it as implemented, right? And so the idea is once it's implemented, we wouldn't go back on it, right? We wouldn't like make major changes. However, in the event that there's like additional requirements that are related to that graduated requirement, I think Andre's point is valid, right? Is how do we
I
link
see.
the related cars, essentially? I think that's a good idea.
I see. But I think that's not necessarily a drawback. So maybe we change that to something like notes or caveats. Because if it's drawback, if there's a major drawback, we probably won't add it as a requirement.
How about a section for related cars? And it would just be links to other cars. Does that work?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
think there's
Carl's-
also
yeah.
Yeah, there's a C also under the car YAML.
Or YAML, I think it's at the bottom. Yep.
Line 13, there's a C also.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Is that sufficient or did you?
Yeah,
actually wanna
maybe we
comment?
should just ask users to add this to we have motivation section, right? And we have the overview section. So if you scroll up here, we can see it. Double check. Yeah, short description. We can ask add this those related cars to the description somehow. Yeah, because like again, the question would be, what if another API superset the previous API, and like if we want to track it somewhere.
Okay, let's take this offline and just like continue to iterate in the PR comments if that's okay. Yeah, I like the idea though. Yeah. Thanks.
Sounds good. Okay. Anything else on this PR? Okay. Jeffrey, are you still here?
I am always here.
All right, your turn.
Sure. So it shouldn't be any surprise, but good old Chris wants to highlight the AI conformance efforts during his keynote. Right now, the idea is there's going to be a demo. Janet sounds like she has been working with Chris and has a pretty dope looking demo that highlights all of the like vendor independent, community owned Kubernetes requirements, AI workloads working on Kubernetes. It's sick. But then after that, one of the things that we were thinking of is bringing up some of the AI working group organizers, as well as like community members from different companies, really highlighting that this is a multi-vendor slash vendor neutral conformance program that has this large buy-in. So think like company logo, maybe a quote from yourself or someone else in your company, and then we will, get people up on stage, take a bow. Chris will say a few words. Will not be a panel because the logistics there are going to be too difficult. And on top of that, it's just a lot easier for us to organize. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, that's it. Any questions from others?
If there are no questions, I will be reaching out to folks to again, deal with the whole PR marketing, permission to use logo, get a nice quote, and also kind of schedule folks to make sure that they know when they need to be near the front of the stage so they can walk on, et cetera, et cetera. I will tackle all of that. If you do have any questions, hit me up on Slack. This is going to be one of the fun things that I need to tackle before Atlanta.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you all.
Okay, let's move on. This is the last thing in our open topics section. Does anyone, before we go into this, does anyone have anything else to add? Any other topics that you wanna talk about? Okay. All right, let's dive into like the should ones. How do we want to go about like doing this? Like I missed the last meeting, so I don't know like the progress.
Yeah,
here.
so I think the in progress ones are being discussed for 135, right? So if we're following the proposed process, essentially all these will become a PR, submitted, reviewed, and invite for questions and feedback. So I think as a group, we should take a look at the ones in the in progress lane and make sure, do we all feel like these requirements should be added to 135, and will they be added as shoulds?
Mhm. So, are we gonna spend time on this today, or should we just like discuss the to-dos here?
Well, as a group, do we feel like these is a 5 or 6? 1, 2, 3, or 6, right? Do we
Six.
feel like these 6 are the ones we want to focus on for 135?
Any concerns from others?
So I think we already discussed these 6. Do we want to continue discussing them, or we just open PRs for them and then we comment in the PR for the further discussion?
Is everyone like confident about these? Like, do you have any consensus on like any of the specific ones? We have time today, so we can discuss if needed. Okay, sounds
do
like
we
we're
have,
good.
sorry, do we have questions in any of these 6 that need to be clarified, or do we just want to do that in the PR? Yeah, maybe just take a look. We agreed on accepting this should. Okay.
So I wonder, like there may be like specific wording or like comments on specific words. So I wonder if that's something we can save. Once this is submitted as a PR, it's easier to comment online or inline. Janet?
And another thing is that, is there anything in the must requirement for 134 that we want to change for 135? For example, I know that Rita, you brought up some suggestions for the words rewarding of some of the requirements. Maybe we can discuss those.
Rita, do you mind point me to
Yeah, I'm trying to get
specific
the,
one?
yeah, specifically, I'm trying to get the link. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah, no rush.
I think it was a metric one, right? I think it was the accelerator metric. Yeah, this one. Currently, it's worded, the platform must allow for the installation and successful operation of at least one accelerated metric solution that exposes fine-grained performance metrics. I mean, it's a must today, but it doesn't say like the platform must support installation and operations of it. That's the difference.
Sorry, where's the difference, Rita? I just saw it. Made it
For
easy
support
to see.
accelerated type, the platform must allow for installation. Instead of saying like all the other ones, it will say the platform um, sorry, trying to see an example. The platform provides installed accelerator metric solution, something like that. That's the difference.
For GAN scheduling, it's the same wording, like must allow for installation of blah blah blah.
Right, same thing. Yeah. So the difference is allow for installation versus the platform comes with it.
Right. So for example, the cluster autoscaler and the HPA are both saying that the platform supports or platform provides. So it's a difference between whether it comes out of the box from the platform or the users need to do it manually.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we're talking about non-entry features, right? These are all like projects that you like that we cannot, from a Kubernetes standpoint, kind of force upon people. But I also agree that like the allow for wording might be a bit too soft, let's call it. Because I mean, allow, yes, these are all Kubernetes resources that can be deployed to a standard Kubernetes. So allowing for installation could be just, yes, we support installation of any Helm chart. And by that, you would officially have the evidence of supporting that. Maybe we can find a phrasing that is not forcing a specific solution, but at least says like must support at least one solution for X, right? And can still be an optional install. I mean, most of the vendors I know most probably have these as add-ons in their app catalogs or whatever they call them. But making it slightly more forceful than just must allow. I think that would be a good idea for the next iteration.
Okay, yeah, so there's this one, and then the, I think like to your point, there's the gang scheduling one.
Yeah, above
Do we,
there.
I think the gang scheduling one, if I'm remembering it, it had a lot of like pushbacks because there are various ways to do it.
I think on the gang scheduling, it would be much easier in the future for us because we can kind of, I mean, if community agree, generalizes with the workload API. And the workload API will be available in Alpha 1.35 and will be GA sometime in the future. So I think it will be much easier for us to be conformant with gang scheduling.
Just, yeah, agree. It'll just be in Kubernetes, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we don't have GA timeline for workload API. I know that 1.35 will be in alpha, but not sure about GA.
And usually it's at least 4 versions, which is more than a year.
Yeah, I think it's maybe 1 year, so 2026.
So we'll revisit this in a year.
Oh, I mean, we can already make the slight phrasing adjustment to make this a bit more sharp. It can still be, it should most probably still be open to any kind of solution, but
again, the diff here is like you're basically saying the platform must provide an installation of one of these.
Yeah, must provide an installation.
Is that something everyone is able to do? And if not, then I think there's going to be pushbacks.
But I mean, currently looking at all the submissions, that's how everyone is interpreting it anyway, right?
No, that's why it's called allow for installation.
Yeah. But like, I was just looking at all the submissions, and like, that's how people have been submitting right now, right? Like the 7 PRs that I've seen.
Oh, you mean they're reading it as long as it's allowed, it's okay, right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So if we change the wording, I mean, that's why we're discussing, right? Is it okay to change the wording now for 135?
I mean, what I'm looking at is the evidence provided for these in the PRs right now, and they do already interpret it not just as allow, but as yes, there is a way to install. Like there is already like a supported way. There is a documentation to install. I know Q or Volcano.
Yeah, and again, it could be your own scheduler, right? You can use, for example, co-scheduler plugins. You can use Unicorn, right? Like it doesn't really matter like which solution because we don't have a, here is just all nothing capability, right? Explained.
And in the end, it does say to be conformant, the vendor must demonstrate that their platform can successfully run at least one such solution. So with that addition, it's actually already sharp, right? At least in the gang scheduling one, we have that. in the accelerometrics, we definitely have like a softer one in the end, where it's like this is not required for conformance, which is weird because it's a must, right? That maybe we need to replace that last sentence rather.
Oh, which sentence? Sorry.
Accelerator metrics description last sentence. Platform may provide a managed solution, but this is not required. Oh no, that's for managed solution. It's not for the one before, right?
Right.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the change, right? Even though it is a must already, but we're making it, to your point earlier, it's a little bit more flexible today, right? The way it's worded, but we're making it more strict so that it would be a managed thing and not just allow for installation.
But are we aiming at managed or are we aiming at provided?
What does provided mean if it's not managed?
I mean, there is like, I think a lot of vendors have catalogs that allow for installation of software that is tested and is specialized for their platform. However, the service itself, the app after installation, is not managed anymore, right? Like with managed, I would at least expect an SLA, right? Like a managed monitoring solution. But not every vendor, like vendors do have two levels of providing services, right? At least most vendors I know.
Go
I
ahead,
think Mario.
Yeah, I agree with Pooja, because the main problem is, for example, so we have an application catalog and we ship an application with the app. So we basically ship Q with it, and we guarantee that the integration is working, but we are not giving SLAs on the topic because our platform can run in offline or disconnected scenarios and on-prem. And there you can't do manage because we don't have access to the systems and we don't want to have access to the systems of the folks. And I think that's always something that we need to keep in mind, that especially when it comes to on-prem and edge environments, that you can't do managed. You only can basically do managed when your company has access to the system.
Go ahead, Wano.
Yeah, I think like it's important to clarify what we mean by managed here. Like, is there an operator? Is what exactly do we mean by managed here? Like, is it valid to point to an upstream repo and say, oh, okay, you can install Q from here and then it'll work? I think that meets the bar. Or then you should also need an operator which is managed. So I think we need to be careful on not pushing too many requirements as long as there is evidence that someone can install it and run it on the platform, and it shouldn't be part of the core installation as well, right? Because typically you don't want to put too much into the default installation, and customers can opt into what pieces they want to run as needed.
Rita, you have a new suggestion in the chat.
Oh, I was just +1 to what has been mentioned already, which is the platform should allow users to opt in on a feature that installs and manage the operations of the feature. And I think Pooja also mentioned it should come with some SLA.
It-
Like, to me, that's
what I
we
meant
actually-
is like we cannot force SLA on people because I think we had this discussion 2 weeks ago too, because some products are delivered in a way where the vendor does not have access, right? So in that way, there is no way to give an SLA on
So then-
features.
Okay, so then actually we should not say SLA. Okay.
Exactly, right?
Okay, I misinterpreted that. Okay, so it is just about the opt-in, so
Yeah.
the feature is installed by default.
I think an opt-in feature makes it very clearly what we mean, right? That's
Gotcha.
it shows that it's like part of the product, right? A part of the offering, but it doesn't kind of force anyone into like changing their business model, let's call it.
Yeah, it really depends on the feature, right? Some does not come with the SLA, especially the cutting edge ones. Janet, do you wanna edit the meeting notes directly, maybe?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is when you get into the optional add-ons, sometimes what you get is those add-ons are, say, got a separate product name, those kinds of things. Is that considered an add-on to the base platform? Because a lot of times this is, even as a vendor, an extra cost for those add-ons. Is it one of those things where you just consider it's the base platform and to become compliant, you might have to have certain add-ons? And I can think of, public clouds and observability. A lot of times the extra observability you need is an add-on with additional costs. And so is that just part of the platform to become compliant and that's okay? And
I would say yes. I think that makes sense, right? Because yeah, business models should not be relevant to conformance, right?
yeah, and the observability one came directly to mind, which is it's
Yeah.
right in front of us right now. It's a
Exactly.
case where most of the observability is an additional cost and it's not part of the base platform, but it's part of the platform. So when you opt into it, it's like an additional SKU, that kind of thing, internally in tracking. And so when you go to get, conformance, your platform gets conformance, but there's those add-ons that are part of it, and that's okay. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up right here. So I think that's all right. Thank you.
So just to move this forward, so for 135, which of the musts here do we want to update the verbiage to reflect this conversation? I can take a quick vote in the chat.
I think unifying the two would make sense, so we don't have like differing ways of expressing the same thing. Yeah.
Is it just these two? I think
If I remember
Yeah, I
that
did a
correct.
search for must allow, and these are the only two.
okay. So then, if you think we should update these musts in 135, please vote in the chat.
What would be the final wording again? Compared to what would be the final wording for the platform?
Something like the platform provides the
Capability.
installation and success option. That's the change. And then for this one, we will remove the platform may provide a managed solution, but this is not required for Conformance. We'll remove that.
Did we check all other requirements? You have similar.
Sorry, what? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Andrew.
Go just.
Why would we remove it? Right? It doesn't. We're not going to promote it. The platform must provide a managed solution, but it states that the platform may provide a managed solution, but it's not required. So we're saying basically you can do managed, you can do not managed. It's irrelevant to this thing, which is I think what we decided. We decided managed was not relevant. Right, so it's a clarifying statement, not a narrowing statement.
Yeah, but if we change the wording to say the platform must provide the installation, then it's conflicting with the last sentence, right?
Not at all. I think a managed solution has an SLA, and we're saying it can have an SLA, it cannot have an SLA. We don't care.
I think the difference is the platform must allow for the installation means the user has to do the installation, right? And if we change it to the platform must install, right? Then saying that is not a requirement for conformance or conflicting.
Could we add or, like, must install or provides must allow or provide installation guides or something like this? I don't know.
Because I take it the concern is if it provides a managed solution, it may no longer allow for installation, for manual installation, because it might be like, no, you're not going to break my thing.
Oh,
Maybe clarifying that you can do both. Like,
I mean, if you want to install yourself, you just don't opt in, right?
I mean, there are GKey add-ons, for example, that are required, right? Like, and I'm sure everyone has some things that just like.
Oh, you're saying if it's not an opt-in, then it could be bad that you're not.
Yes.
Oh, that's fair.
Why would you say must have a capability to operate at least one accelerator matrix without mentioned installation? Like
maybe just making it capability is a good point. Yeah, because then who cares if it's managed, if it's an installation? It's like you need to somehow provide it to the end user. And I think we have that wording with capability somewhere else too.
I see. So by wording it that way, then either the platform does it for you or you could bring your own. Okay. I think that makes sense.
If the installation is like if concern is about installation, we can just reward it, right?
Yeah.
Because the trick would be like that, from my understanding, even if those platforms kind of like are not managed, they still need to bypass the testing conformance, which we will build in the future. Which means like they still need to run this somehow if they want to be AI conformant, correct?
I mean, I would imagine the test would look for the accelerated metric solution and it wouldn't be there in that platform. Like if the platform expects you, the user, to install it, then it wouldn't pass that test, right?
Yeah, but then how it can be conformant?
It wouldn't be.
Okay, so
exactly, but it's a must, so it needs to. Right?
Yeah,
and at
that's
least like currently all vendors are exactly doing that, right? Like everyone is providing some way of passing the test, which is what we want, right? We want the end user to be able to use it. Right? And that's why we're forcing vendors to provide some kind of solution. Right? And if that solution is, I don't know, Bitnami Helm charts, I don't care, right? maybe I do care, but but it's a different topic maybe.
But I thought the whole point of the AI conformance program is to reduce the amount of work the user needs to do themselves, right?
And exactly that, right? That's why it needs to be that the vendor provides this as a feature somehow. And that
Right.
feature can be opt-in, but it like the feature can't be, hey, just go on the internet and find some way to install this thing and add your, I don't know, pod security standards to it. And
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the goal, but I don't think we have to directly address that within the conformance profile. We can sort of set up the cards to, or the dominoes, I guess, to fall in that way, right? So there are two conformant clusters or platforms, and one of them is like, yeah, you run foo up, and the other one is like a 25-page doc, and I will probably choose the foo up. But if I want to run that that second one, I can. But hopefully, customers will choose foo up and validate our assumption that they prefer ease of use, but maybe they prefer full control and 25 pages of docs, right? So, but I think that that's okay as long as here's how you get the AI conformant cluster, which will then you run all these workloads. Like we have a nice, easy place to reference that. And I would expect that customers will prefer the shorter, easier to use ones, but that's not, yeah.
Just to clarify, so you're saying, let's say in the future when we do have the conformance test, the automated test, right? You're saying if the platform has the like full up or not full up, where it's a lengthy doc, they are allowed to follow the lengthy doc and then run the conformance test suite. That's not how it is for Kubernetes conformance, I think. That's the difference.
I think it is for Kubernetes, right? Like we write the instructions on how to bring up the conformant cluster, and we show the test results. And yes, in theory, you could have a 25-page doc. I'm taking it to the extreme, but like cops, for example, is at least 2, if not 3 commands, right? So does that disqualify it because it's not one command? No, right? And like, how do you draw a line where you say like, oh, well, 3 is okay, but 5 is not okay, right?
Yeah,
like,
how do you draw that line?
So like, I don't think there is a line. I think you're allowed to do that 25-page doc, but we let the market be like, well, that's ridiculous. I don't want to do that.
So I guess concretely, again, thinking about the automated test, like what is a platform allowed to do before they run the conformance test suite?
Is there something you're worried about them doing? What would you not want them to do? How about that?
Basically what you just said, right? Like how many steps is it okay? Like 10 steps, is that too much? Like,
I think as long as it's clear how hard it is to bring up the two solutions, that's okay, right? That's like, we can say, yes, you are conformant if you follow this 25-page doc, and as long as it's clear, right? Like, I think that's okay. I don't know if anyone else disagrees, but it's going to be hard for us to say, 5 pages good and 6 pages bad, right?
It could be a script, right? To automate that instead of a doc eventually.
But I don't think we should make we should make people write that script to get around our arbitrary requirements, right?
Agree.
Or like a smaller font size that I can't read, right?
Yep.
yeah, I think it's just I'm just thinking about these requirements a bit, like then gating are they conformant or not? It's a little harder in terms of the difference between full up and not full up. Like to your point, like two vendors could be both compliant or conformant, but one is full up and one isn't. So how do you differentiate the two? Just by looking at the conformance, you can't.
I mean, the conformance is open for a reason, right? That's but that's also part of, like, if I remember correctly, at least it used to be like that when I was doing CNCF conformance, like just the KDS conformance, that in the review, the reviewer would mark things and comment things like, hey, this sounds a bit hacky, or like, and then there is a discussion with the vendor, right? But then in a way, it's also up to the vendor, because every one of these features would be something that the vendor anyway would need to automate somehow, right? Like either they automate it behind the scenes or they do it in front of you. And if they do it in front of you and that let the user do things, then it's pretty clear that it's not very user experience friendly. But conformance is about technical requirements, not about user experience, right? At least on this level. I mean, user experience for us is still relevant in terms of end user that is using the platform. But for the setup of the platform, I don't think we can make a lot of user experience requirements. I'm not sure how the discussions went with like Kubernetes conformance, but I've seen like long bash scripts in the early days too.
I agree with what you said. I like the distinction between like technical requirements versus user experience requirements. I think we want at least the early versions of this to be like, this is the things I can rely on whatever Kubernetes cluster I'm running on. We want people to pass, right? We want to establish the baseline that we can program to, the API that is available everywhere that we can program to, get those workloads consuming this conformant profile, right? And then, yes, I think we will have succeeded if like we see, you know, a KubeCon booth which says, you know, one line to an AI conformant profile and people sort of competing on that. But I feel like that is a sort of separate avenue, right? The ease of use, like, you know, maybe someone that is very sophisticated wants to put it all into GitOps and wants that 25-page doc, right? That's almost not, it's sort of like a judgment call, right? Like, I don't know which is easier, like is foo up better, or if you want to like tweak everything, is that like very explicit thing better? I think that is up for people to decide. I think what we want is we want to make sure that it is possible to get that API, that common AI API, whatever you want to call it, that everyone can program to. And we do want everyone to be able to pass, as long as they are actually able to run that AI workload, right? And yes, there will be longer scripts on some platforms than on others, at least in the early days. And I think the competition between, you know, the various vendors at KubeCon will encourage, for the friendly competition, will encourage like the reduction and greater ease of use.
Yeah, I like that. I like that now we can focus on the technical requirements for what AI conformant means for a platform instead of focusing on what each vendor can do. They don't want to support a managed solution for specific requirements, and they might provide a less user-friendly experience for installing that users do things manually with longer user guide, but that won't block us from defining what AI conformant means.
We have 1 more minute. So how do we want to wrap this up? Do we have more time, like before 1:35 for it?
maybe we can start the PR and then do the discussion on specifics in the PR, because I think at least voting wise, or do we want to ask for vetoes? I do think we roughly agree, right?
I think it makes sense that we do it in the PR, because we will also need to get the buy-in input from SIG Arch eventually. And it's more transparent if we can discuss it, if we can have the discussion inside of the PR and adjust things there.
Sounds good. So Rita, is this something you want to take on and start a PR with?
Yeah, I can start a PR for this, but yeah, we can just discuss in the PR. Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, and also like, yeah, we are running over. So one quick question is like for the meeting for the next meeting, do we want to skip it because it's so close to KubeCon? No objections, as I would say. Okay. Yeah, let's maybe cancel that meeting then. And then if we have anything to discuss, we can discuss async in GitHub or Slack. Does that sound good to everyone? Okay. All right. That's it for today then. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye bye.